I had loved Ava deeply for 10 years, but then I caught her hooking up with my half-brother. I called off the wedding and kicked her out, and she still acted like a queen and made me kneel. Once I went public with my new wedding plans, she showed up drunk and begged to reconcile, and it just made me sick. And Elise, the one I had wronged, turned out to be the one who pulled me out of that mess. The moment my fiancée let my brother press her down on the car seat without a fight, I decided I wasn't going to be a fool for love anymore. So I called off the wedding right then, and there I cut off her credit card. I pulled every penny I had invested in her and kicked her out of my place when she walked out. She held her chin up, and her eyes were ice cold. James, unless you kneel down and say you're sorry, don't ever expect to see me again. Later on, I went public with my new wedding plans in front of all the cameras, and then that same night, she showed up drunk at my door. Her eyes were filled with nothing but desperation and bitterness. Take me back. I can change. I tapped on the car window. My voice came out shakier than I wanted. The dark parking garage felt suffocating. The two of them scrambled apart inside the car. My brother helped her climb out from the back seat. A smug smile tugged at his lips. Hey, bro, don't misunderstand. Ava told me she had a headache. I was just giving her a massage to help her feel better. He sounded totally relaxed, even smiling as he shoved Ava into my arms. James, you're not really angry, are you? Ava is my brother's wife. To be, it makes sense I'd take extra care of her if anyone crossed a line. It's me for not knowing my limits. Don't hold it against her. I stared at the smeared lipstick on the corner of Ava's mouth. A bitter, angry feeling welled up inside me. This half-brother who had just been brought into the family, he not only wanted to take my inheritance, he even wanted a piece of my girl. You can go, I said, my voice cold. Even though Ava smelled like booze and was slumped against me, she still found a way to cover for him. James, don't be so hard on Ethan, or I'm not speaking to you. My brother's smile got even wider. He took his sweet time, pulling a shiny new key fob from his pocket. He pressed the unlock button. I'll head out now, bro, and thanks again to Ava for the new ride. It drives like a dream. He really leaned into the word dream. The dirty implication was written all over his face. There was no way I missed what he was hinting at. Ava and I grew up together. She was my first love, the girl I cherished more than anything. I chased her for 10 years, doted on her for 10 years. We were just about to get married. I pulled Ava into the car. I started the engine and didn't speak a single word. About halfway home, she leaned back at her seat, half asleep. Her voice sounded a little worried. Your brother, Ethan, he suffered so much out there by himself. It was so hard for him to finally come home. Can't you cut him some slack? I stayed quiet. I just gripped the wheel harder. That's when she opened her eyes and her voice went cold. Put him in the company and train him yourself, or forget about this wedding. The car screeched to a violent stop. I swerved to the curb and stopped. Ethan was nothing but my father's bastard from an affair. After he showed up, my mom got sicker and sicker in the end. The stress ate her alive, but only 3 months after the funeral, my father brought him waltzing right back into the house. Ava knew every bit of this. Any other person would never dare speak to me that way. Frustrated, I pressed my fingers to my temples and shut my eyes. All I could see was what happened in that garage, the way they were all over each other. Completely out of control for years. I had spoiled her so badly. She had no limits left. She seemed to have forgotten that she was just a trust fund princess who had lost her pedestal. I leaned toward her. Her long, pale legs went a little stiff, but I just undid her seatbelt and pointed to the door. Then forget the wedding. I'll have your stuff packed up and shipped to you. Now get out. Go back to your own place. She straightened up, took her time, lifting those long legs, let out a small laugh. You're jealous of your brother and blowing things up this much. Don't you see how childish that is? My eyes landed on the sapphire necklace around her neck. $30 million. My mother had given her that with her own hands before she passed. But now, Ava was using my card to buy designer clothes and luxury goods for that illegitimate brother, and she even bought him a $3 million sports car. Her excuse, to make up for all the pain your brother went through and everything he missed. What a joke. I opened my door and stepped out, walked around her side, and pulled the door open, hauled Ava out of the passenger seat while she was still in shock. I slipped the sapphire necklace off her neck. This was supposed to be for my wife, but since we're not getting married, I'm taking it back. I'll have the wedding canceled right away. I'll tell PR to release a statement. I'll order you a ride. Ava's face stayed totally calm, not even a flicker, like she was certain I was just having a fit. James, I hope you don't regret what you said today. If you ever want to see me again, you better get on your knees and apologize properly. Her voice was lazy and cold. She turned around and flagged down a cab and left without a backward glance. I knew deep down Ava had always been extremely vain. She loved being worshipped and coddled. She had to be the center of attention at all times, even before Ethan showed up. She was always hanging around actors and male models. I argued with her until I lost my mind over it. We had huge blowouts, burned bridges. I even threatened her, but every time she'd twist me around with a few nice words, and I'd end up spending a fortune buying back photos and killing stories in the press. She always said none of that mattered, that it was just boring fun. She paid for it. But when I saw her all over Ethan just now, I suddenly had to ask myself, did I really have to marry Ava? I had everything already, but when it came to love, I acted like a pathetic beggar, letting her wound me again and again, letting her think I would never walk away. Was this really worth it? I shook my head. Tea has to steep before it tastes good. When you learn to let go, life slowly gets easier. When I got back to the house, Ethan was kneeling by my father's feet, rubbing his legs. When he raised his head and saw me, he still had that sly, knowing smile on his face. Dad, my brother is home. Don't be mad at him. He didn't hit me. The mark on my face is from tripping, bro. I'm sorry. It's all my fault that you and Ava fought. But how could you just leave her by the curb like that? The red handprint on his left cheek was unmistakable. I almost had a laugh. He really didn't mind hurting himself. My father's face was beet red. He jumped to his feet and came at me. James, how much do you hate your brother to beat him like that? You're selfish. You don't listen to reason. Do you have any idea how much he suffered out there? He barely made it back to this family, and then he has to deal with a brother like you. Apologize to him this instant or I'll disown you. Ethan stood behind him, raised an eyebrow at me. His mouth silently mouthed the word loser. I took a step closer and landed a punch right on Ethan's face. He stumbled backward and fell on his ass. You want an apology? Fine. Come over here and let me beat you enough, then I'll consider saying I'm sorry. Ethan's eyes instantly went bloodshot, putting on a terrified face. Bro, please don't hit me. I really don't know what I did. I'm sorry. All right, I'll say I'm sorry. Isn't that good enough, my father? Lost it right there. He shoved Ethan behind him and swung a punch right at me. You good for nothing. If you touch my son one more time, I'm calling the cops. Get out. He kept Ethan locked behind him, one arm around Ethan, the other patting his back. Ethan, don't cry. Dad's here. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Ethan's face was ghost white. His face was a mess of tears and snot. He just curled up in my father's arms. Crying, I gritted my teeth, grabbed my coat, and walked out. Instead of watching their father-son act any longer, I decided to save my energy. After killing some time outside, I headed back to the company. The whole floor was deserted. Only one desk lamp was still lit. I walked over quietly. I saw a girl with her hair tied in a top knot. She was typing away fast. She looked like she was fighting back something. Her nose was red. Tears kept rolling down her soft cheeks. She had no idea anyone was there. I cleared my throat softly. She nearly jumped out of her skin. Mr. James, what are you still doing here? I looked at the clock on the wall. It was 10:30 at night. Pack up and go home. I'll have my driver drop you off. She sniffled and tried to hold back the tears. Her lips puckered like she wanted to say something. In the end, she just whispered, okay. When I got back to my office, I loosened my tie and sat on the sofa. I grabbed my phone. The whole screen was unread messages. Father, don't push it. You think bullying your sweet, innocent brother will get you more the inheritance as long as I'm breathing. I'll protect him. Ethan, bro, you were so brutal just now. Ava is on her way to take care of me. She's in my room right now. I want me to video call you so you can see. I just shut the phone off. I remembered how I drank myself into a stomach hemorrhage not long ago when I was in the hospital with an4 in my arm. Ava didn't visit me a single time. It was pretty pathetic. Suddenly, someone knocked softly on the office door. The same girl timidly peeked her head in again. She was holding a little cake. Her cheeks were a little flushed. Mr. James, I heard it's your birthday today. I was keeping this for my midnight snack, but I want you to have it. Happy birthday. I was caught off guard today. Actually, it was my birthday. Ava always said celebrating the lunar birthday was a pain. So for all these years, I only ever celebrated this one. I was just about to say no, but the girl blinked her big eyes at me. Her whole face was full of hope. She sat down beside me. She lit the candle and slid the cake in front of me. Make a wish and to pass my wish. Every year was always the same, to be with Ava forever. But now I just sighed softly. She tilted her head, not understanding I was about to come up with some excuse. But then my phone rang. It was Ava's custom ringtone. I could already guess what she was going to say, so I didn't even bother picking up. Sure enough, it rang once and then stop with her pride she would never call twice Elise. I said the name of the girl in front of me the moment she heard her name. She shot up nervously. She looked at me confused and frightened. Go pack your things, you're coming on a business trip with me tomorrow. I remember who this girl was. One time I drank too much and blacked out in the office. And when I woke up the next morning, my head was resting on a pair of long, pale legs. The girl in front of me was staring at me with wide, cat-like eyes, still holding up her phone. I sat bolt upright and told her to delete the pictures, quit on the spot, and said I'd give her $1 million to make up for it. She kept shaking her head, trying to tell me what happened, but I didn't let her speak. I called HR right then. I found out later that when I was drunk, I had confused her with Ava and used her lap as a pillow the whole night. She had only pulled out her phone to order me breakfast. And when she left, she didn't take the $1 million either. After I found out the truth, I had HR bring her back. Seeing her now, staying late with red eyes, it was clear someone had been making things difficult for her. When Elise heard me, she looked confused but happy. She just nodded and said softly, "Okay." The next morning, the news that I had called off the wedding with Ava was all over every headline. And I was already at the airport with my new assistant. While waiting to board, word had already gotten out. Within minutes, reporters had flooded the airport. Elise was so nervous, she hid behind my back. A totally normal work relationship suddenly looked like something it wasn't because of the way she ducked behind me. Thanks to her, one eagle-eyed reporter shoved a mic in my face and asked, "Mr. James, did you call off the wedding with Ava because you found someone new?" I was fed up and waved him off. I looked at the camera and said one word: tired. Tired of the endless suspicion after every argument, always afraid she would act out and do something we couldn't come back from lying awake at night. Telling myself to believe her just once more. For years, I had lived in constant fear of losing her, and I was tired, too exhausted to be that person anymore. When the plane touched down, I barely had my phone on, and Ava was already calling. Her voice grated on my ears. "James, what are you talking about? Tired? Bring that woman to me right now and explain yourself. Stop shouting. You're hurting my ears." My voice turned cold. "Did you really think I was joking before?" Ava went quiet for a few seconds, then asked in a low, dark tone, "You can't even stand the sound of my voice anymore? James, do you have any idea what you're doing? You promised me a huge wedding, and you've already blown so much cash on it, and now you call it off, and it's all over the news. Who was that girl hiding behind you? Did you bring her along just to get under my skin?" I asked her back, "Do you realize what you were doing in that car? When you were sitting on Ethan's lap, you know what you were doing? Grabbing the back of his head and making out with him. Did you forget that we were about to get married? Ava, you make me sick." I blocked her right after I said it. It felt different this time. There was no ripping pain in my chest. It was more like I had finally let out all the anger I'd been holding in, and I felt a whole lot lighter. All the things that should have been there in a relationship: responsibility, security, loyalty. She never gave me any of that. Elise's bright eyes were fixed on me. When she felt my eyes on her, she clutched her purse strap and started stammering nervously. I have some vision issues, and sometimes my ears ring." I didn't say anything. She just looked around, embarrassed, looking pretty uncomfortable. "By the way, Mr. James, can you give me the schedule for this trip so I can get ready?" I handed her the address and the contact info. "There's no set schedule. We're going abroad to look for a nursing home for my father." As I said that, I suddenly thought of that attention-seeking, drama-loving brother of mine. Sure enough, he was posting on social media again in the sunlight. He and my father were holding teacups in a photo, their faces close together. After all these years of drifting, finally have time to enjoy being father and son. So blessed. I smiled coldly to myself. Did he really think that acting pathetic would help him take everything from me? I took care of everything abroad pretty fast, but I didn't feel like going back right away. So I asked Elise to come up with something else. I never expected her to take me skydiving while we were up in the air. She turned and flashed me an excited smile. When she smiled, little dimples appeared by her eyes. "Mr. James, if you're afraid, don't force it." But for some reason, I thought about Ava. Everyone in our circle knew how insane I was about her. Every time she made me angry enough, I'd blow cash on the track and speed to blow off steam those races that almost killed me. I never flinched, but now my heart was racing wildly. My blood was pumping. I couldn't even bring myself to look out at the sky. Deep down inside, I had always been scared of death, but for her, all these years I had thrown logic out the window, over and over, inching closer and closer to the edge. It was pretty sad when you think about it. Elise frowned a little. She reached up and gently wiped the cold sweat off my forehead. The next moment, she walked right over to the staff and called the whole thing off. When we got back to the hotel's private beach, I sat down on a beach chair and said to her, "I'm sorry for ruining the mood." I could see how much she had been looking forward to skydiving. She passed me a soda, puffed up her cheeks, and snorted softly. "Relax. I won't tell anyone. It's not embarrassing to be afraid of heights. Saying no doesn't mean you're giving up on your dreams or the things you love. It's just another way to take better care of yourself." Her voice was soft and sweet like a kid, playing grown-up, chewing me out. In all seriousness, of course, I could tell she really meant while I raised my hand to mess up her hair. But without thinking, she caught my wrist the second her fingers met my skin. Her face and ears went bright red. I turned my head away at once, but that light fragrance from her wrapped around me. Completely, my heart skipped a beat. Without warning, when I got back home, I asked her if she would stay on as my assistant. She shook her head like a little toy. "Mr. James, I'm scared Ava will misunderstand, so I'm sorry." Right before she walked away, she gave me a sad little smile. I understood why she was scared, and I knew that no one else believed that I'd truly moved on from Ava. I had only been gone from the office a few days, and Ethan had already settled right in. He was sitting at the head of the conference table, basking in everyone's attention and praise. Ava was in a sleek black pantsuit. Diamond studs on her ears sparkled like crazy. She stood next to Ethan, smiling sweetly and whispering something to him. As soon as I stepped inside, everyone shot to their feet the way they moved. I almost thought they'd forgotten who really ran this place. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded canning every last one of them for years. I had built this company from the ground up. No one had ever been able to touch my place. Ethan raised his head and noticed me. He hurried over and apologized, looking all obedient. "Bro, I'm sorry. Don't be mad at Dad. He was the one who pushed Ava to come here to show me the ropes. Said I could help you out with work later." His lips were pressed tight, playing the scared, guilty act, but the look in his eyes was pure provocation. I shoved my hands in my pockets and looked him over coldly. "With that scrawny build of yours, forget helping me with work. I doubt you can even hold your own in bed." His face went white instantly. His eyes welled up. "Bro, if you want to curse me out, go ahead, say whatever you want. I can take it. I know you're hurting. If yelling at me helps you feel better, then go ahead and take it out on me." Ava shot me a complicated look. "That's enough. James, every time you see him, you pick on him. Can't you be more like a brother? Last time you hit him, his head hurt for 3 days straight. You didn't even ask how he was." Then she pulled tear-stained Ethan into her arms to shield him. I thought it was ridiculous. I never thought Ava would fall for that kind of guy, someone who plays the victim every chance he gets, like the world owes him everything. I grabbed Ethan and pulled him away from her. "Everyone, I need to talk to him privately." Ava hesitated, then glared at me hard, but she finally left with everyone else. Ethan shrugged and smirked. "Honestly, you must feel pretty terrible right now. Ava cares this much about me. What if she ends up marrying me? Would you lose it?" "Oh, and by the way, Dad already promised me a stake in the company. Once I marry your first love, will you even be able to stay here?" "No, that's not enough. I'm coming for everything you've got, because all of it is what you owe me and my mom." I grabbed him by the collar and slammed my fist into his face. "You and your mom, you sure talk a big game. Keep whining and see what happens. I'll teach you what little punks like you need is to get hit." I hit him again. "You think I care about making a scene here in the office? I built this place every step of the way. Someone as ignorant and useless as you, who just rides on other people's coattails, has no idea what that means." The people I had thrown out earlier could all hear Ethan yelping inside, and they all crowded back by the door, whispering and sneaking videos on their phones. Ava was the only one who ran back and grabbing my arm tight. "Stop it. James, what's gotten into you?" When Ethan saw her, he spat out blood and a tooth. He fell to his knees and sobbed. "I don't know what I did wrong. He just lost it out of nowhere and started beating me up." "Ava, couldn't hold me back, so she stepped right in front of Ethan, lifted her chin, and shut her eyes for that 1 second. A strange ache hit my chest. Ava, after all these years, what have we even been? I hesitated and finally lowered my hand. I sank back into my chair like all the air had gone out of me. So you're going to protect him no matter what? She grabbed a napkin and wiped the blood off Ethan's lips, her face cold as ice. James, you have to say sorry. Now, some questions speak for themselves. When there's no reply, I wasn't dumb enough to push further. I just hung my head and let out 2 bitter laughs. Ethan's mouth was bleeding, but his eyes were wild with victory. I gave him one last look, didn't speak again, turned, and left the conference room. Once I was outside, I called HR, cut off all partnerships with the Miller family right now, and get Monica out. She's done. Then I texted Ethan's photo to my assistant. From now on, if security lets him step foot in here again, they're all out. Outside the building, I lit a cigarette and felt completely drained. Then a familiar face appeared. Elise. She looked worse off than me. Her arms were loaded with papers. She was walking out of the building with her head down, one slow step at a time. What's going on? Elise glanced up and shot me a look. Her eyes were red, and she pouted. I knew your ex-fiancée would push me out. This is all your fault. Her face actually made me laugh. Don't leave. She doesn't have the authority to fire you now. Elise took me out for grilled meat, said it was to say thanks. She passed me the menu. I ordered a few pitchers of ice-cold beer. The server glanced at us and smiled. We have a special going on. Couples can hold hands or kiss and snap a selfie, and we'll give you a free drink. Elise raised her eyes to me, checking my face first. Then she waved her hand and whispered, "We're not even together." The server looked at me, then winked at her. Holding hands still counts. Same deal. Elise started to explain, but I had already taken her hand. The server clicked a picture and handed me the Polaroid, smiling. He announced, "Couple at table 9, 2 free drinks for you." Elise's ears went bright red. She yanked her hand away, looking a little flustered, barely able to meet my eyes. I looked down and took a drink, and she silently put a piece of meat on my plate. I raised my head, and she refilled my beer. The whole dinner, we hardly talked, but it wasn't the least bit awkward. It felt more like 2 people who had known each other forever. Just being quiet together felt right. When I reached my 4th glass, she grabbed the cup out of my hand and shook her head like crazy. Like a little toy, I told my driver to take her back. She hummed softly and climbed quietly into the car. Just before she got in, she kept looking back at me. Her expression was complicated, happy, sad, and something else underneath. When I walked into my place, Ava was already asleep on the sofa. The door closing woke her up. She blinked, her eyes opened slowly. "Where have you been?" I threw my coat down and headed straight to the bathroom. A few minutes later, she came in and grabbed me by the collar. "James, is it real between you and that girl?" Her voice was cold and rushed. She smacked a photo against my face, and it fell to the floor. It was the Polaroid of me and Elise. She had obviously searched my pockets. I had loved Ava for 10 years, thousands of nights and days for her. I felt guilty even glancing at another woman, let alone holding hands, hugging, or kissing. Over time, I had nearly forgotten how to act around women, but she flitted easily between different guys, loving all the attention. With Elise, I had just held her hand, and my heart skipped and my head spun. But for Ava, that little amount of excitement didn't do anything for her anymore. I pushed her hand off me, bending over. I picked up the picture. "I like her." That sentence wasn't just for her. It was like admitting it to myself, too. Ava froze for a second. Then she frantically wrapped her arms around me from behind. I could feel her fingers slipping under my shirt. Annoyed, I peeled her hands off. "We're done." "Ava?" She stared straight at me. I didn't recognize the look in her eyes. After a long pause, she walked barefoot to the bedroom and said just one word, so quietly, "Stay." I didn't listen. I grabbed my coat and started putting my shoes on. She leaned on the bedroom doorframe, arms folded, as if she was wrestling with something. "James, whatever you don't like, I'll get rid of it. You hate Ethan. I'll make him go away. But you have to cut that girl off too. Let her go. We'll still have the wedding, all right?" The wedding, what came after that? I used to daydream about being married, even about names for our kids. I had picked out a few, but now, when I thought about it, it just felt hollow and absurd. When she saw me spacing out, she walked over and looped her arms around my neck, her warm body pressed up against mine. There was a clear hunger in her eyes. Her lips came closer and closer. I turned my head to dodge her. She froze for a second, caught off guard, but she didn't stop. She grabbed my face and tried to turn it toward her. "James, the first no. You still want me, don't you?" I couldn't stand it any longer. I shoved her off. What are you talking about? She slammed into the wall, biting her lip, her face red with rage. I took out my phone, opened my gallery, and played a video the day I saw her and Ethan all over each other in the car. Wasn't just bad luck before that the people I had tailing them had already gotten footage of them. That video I had watched more times than I could count, and it hurt so much each time that I almost couldn't breathe. But finally I had gone numb to it. I could even play it for her. Without emotion, Ava grabbed the phone out of my hand. The second she looked at it, she started trembling uncontrollably and frantically deleted it. It's not what it looks like that day. He was just sad because you were so distant. He was so hurt. He cried. I was only trying to make him feel better. Comfort him by holding him that close. I let out a cold laugh. Comfort him by holding back your voice, biting back pain, and moaning at the same time. She dropped her gaze, her throat tight. I don't know how things got this way. I never wanted that to happen. She held on my wrist. Her face was ghost white. She was clearly terrified that I would actually walk away. So she started kissing me frantically everywhere she could reach. I lifted my hand, hanging in the air, ready to strike her. She shut her eyes and tilted her face up, waiting for it, tears running silently down her face. But I didn't do it. I just grabbed her arm tighter and angrily pulled her to the door. Get out. I never want to see you again. She cried outside for a while, maybe pounding on the door. I didn't care enough to tell. I took a shower and went to bed, put my earbuds in, and fell asleep fast. The next morning, when I opened the door, Ava was still huddled by the door. I didn't spare her a single glance, stepped over her, and left at the company. Elise was sitting at her desk with her chin propped up, spacing out. When she saw me, she jumped up in a fluster, fumbled through her papers for a while, and passed me a document. Mr. James, I took it from her and motioned for her to come into my office. She followed me like a good girl. Your report, the beginning is bad, the middle is bad, and the end is bad too, but the overall structure is okay. Her cheeks puffed out a little, her voice went quiet. I'll redo it. Don't. I looked at her steadily. This job isn't right for you. She turned her head away, looking pretty crushed. Okay, I'll go write my resignation. I have something better for you. I reached out suddenly and squeezed her cheek. Be my girlfriend. She caught my hand and looked up at me, as if she thought she must have misheard. I pulled her into my arms. She shivered, but leaned her head on my shoulder anyway. I said, be my girlfriend. The second I said that, the door was kicked open. My father came barging in with Ethan. You ungrateful snake, you want to dump me in some foreign nursing home? I'd rather die. A few security guards ran in after him. Apologizing, I rubbed my temples, my head killing me. What's all this fuss going to do? This company belonged to my grandfather, and my mother divorced you before she passed away. I turned to Ethan. You cheated and got thrown out and didn't take a dime with you, remember? My father puffed up. So what, I'll give Ethan 25% of the shares, and then I'm out. I laughed coldly. A company worth billions, and he just asked for that much. Why should you? Ethan suddenly fell to his knees. Bro, I'm sorry. I know me being here has caused you so many problems. Please forgive me. My father rushed to help him up. Don't say sorry. You don't owe him a thing. He's the one who owes you. Ethan's face went white as a sheet. His eyes were full of panic and despair. He wouldn't get up no matter what. Instead, he looked at Elise. I know who you are. You're his new girlfriend, aren't you? Please, help me. I can't stand seeing them fight over me like this. Elise stepped back a few times and whispered, stop pretending to be pitiful. You may not be tired, but I'm already fed up this whole act. I've practically memorized it. If you really meant it, you'd disappear. Wouldn't that be more honest? Ethan stood there, stunned, tears pouring down his face, looking even more hurt. Elise just rolled her eyes and ducked behind my back. That's enough. Security. Get them out of here. Ethan got to his feet, moved close, and whispered, how does it feel to be cheated on? You want to bet I can make Elise crawl into my bed too? Just like Ava. I kicked him in the gut. He doubled over and hit the floor, clutching his stomach. Wheezing, since you love saying sorry so much, then stay down there like you mean it. Quit running your mouth like a damn clown. I hit him in the face again. His face was so thick my fingers went numb from hitting him. Elise softly took my hand and blew on my knuckles. My father was stomping around and yelling. I threw a card at him. Take the cash and go overseas. Don't come back. Or you can just stay here and protect your son forever. I've got all the time in the world. I began counting down. 3, 2. His face shifted from white to purple. He looked like he was about to pass out. Fine. Okay. You win. He clenched his jaw and said that through his teeth, grabbed the card and walked off. That didn't surprise me one bit my whole life. My father has only ever loved himself. Ethan was still writhing on the floor, staring at his back in disbelief. He couldn't believe it. He scrambled forward and screamed at the door. Dad, you can't. How could you abandon me again? You swore you wouldn't leave me. I motioned lazily. The guards grabbed him and hauled him out the office. Finally fell silent. Just me and Elise. It would be a lie to say it didn't bother me. That man had been part of my life for so long. Selfish as he was, I had never pushed things to this point before. When my mother was dying, she grabbed my hand and sobbed that her biggest regret was trusting him. He didn't show up to the funeral. Not one tear, he used to say. Love made me a slave to everyone else, nowhere to run. But really, he was just addicted to all kinds of cheap thrills. His good sense had been eaten away by lust. He didn't even have the right to talk about love. Still in the mood for grilled meat? I'll let you have one more beer tonight. Elise's soft, pale hands tugged lightly at my sleeve. Her eyes were gentle. I nodded. Okay. I was honestly exhausted from the second Ethan showed up. I had been setting this up piece by piece. Every single thing he did was under my thumb. Clearly, I overestimated him. Besides crying to the press for sympathy and stirring up a little noise online, everything else he did was a total mess. The only thing that nearly broke me was Ava. With Ava, I was always on edge, but with Elise, I felt strangely at peace. Getting to know her, I was drawn more and more to her weird but endearing habits. I never got it before when it rained. Even though there were two umbrellas, she would sneak one away, making me lean mine toward her to keep her completely covered when we walked around. If she wanted to hold my hand, she'd say she got something in her eye and couldn't see and wouldn't move unless I held on to her. She wasn't even a real employee, but she always found reasons to stay late and hang around with me. That's how I fell for her. Bit by bit, maybe when you like someone, you can't stop wanting to be near them. Every time I touched her, my heart would go wild. I loved how she made me nervous and her soft, sweet kisses, every one of them, made me blush, almost drove me crazy. I didn't want anyone getting in our way, but someone always had to stir things up. One night, after dinner with overseas clients, we got swarmed by reporters at the door. I held my temper and answered a bunch of random questions. Then someone in the back raised his hand and shouted, Mr. James, we've gotten a lot of pictures of you and your new girlfriend. Is it like everyone saying, are you two getting married soon? I thought for a second and started to answer, but Ava's people charged in and roughly pushed all the reporters aside. She was standing behind them in dark glasses, her face blank. We need to talk. The air in the back seat was heavy. Are you done playing around? Let's just call it even. I'm done waiting. That's how she started. I glanced at her and shook my head. We're not the same. I couldn't read her face behind the glasses, but her voice was shaking. James, it's been 10 years. Are you really going back on your word? You can do what you want. I won't care, even after the wedding. Even if you had 10 other women, I'd still stop. I interrupted her and exhaled slowly. You know me, I've never treated feelings like a joke. Maybe we're just different in my heart. There's only space for one. Then I opened the door to leave. She looked away, but gently held my hand. A tear ran down her face. Can you stop leaning on my dad's business? We both knew if I hadn't been holding back, her family's business would have been done for. But a dying giant is still big. Even without my unlimited credit cards, Ava's family would never struggle to get by. Just not as fancy, definitely not destitute. I'm not punishing them. My voice was calm. If they want to do business with me, they need to earn on their own. She let go of my hand, defeated. Later that night, I looked at my phone over and over, but Elise never replied. The more I thought about it, the more nervous I got. I pulled on my coat to go look for her. The second I opened the door, a drunk figure fell through the doorway. Ava's voice was thick with booze. Baby, are you still upset? Take me back, whatever you hate. I'll fix it. I shove her away, annoyed. Get away from me. But she grabbed me from behind and held on. Don't go yet, for all you know. Elise is already in Ethan's bed. He knows just how to talk to them. I had had enough. I slapped her and said coldly, where is she? She held her face, crying and laughing. If she ends up like me, who would you pick? Her or me? Total panic gripped me. I slammed the gas to the floor, fury boiling inside me. When I arrived at Ethan's rental apartment, a bunch of thugs were hanging around the door. Big, stocky guys covered in tattoos. They were obviously there to cause trouble. I didn't have to think twice. Ethan must have called them. I stepped out of the car without saying anything, took out my wallet. How much do you want? I'll give you 10 times it now. Leave right now. The men exchanged glances, looking unsure. The blonde-haired leader walked up, rolling his shoulders. "Who are you?" I didn't waste my breath. I lunged at him and threw a punch. I'd spent a fortune on combat training, so dealing with these street punks wasn't much of a challenge. They fought dirty, though every hit was meant to do serious damage. I tasted blood. Almost immediately, I think I heard Elise screaming for me. Right before I blacked out completely, I vaguely saw cop lights flashing and the thugs running off in every direction. I woke up again the next morning. Elise was sitting next to the bed staring at me without blinking. "Are you okay?" I used the bed rail to sit up. She shook her head hard, her eyes filling with tears. "I'm sorry. It might have been my brother's men. They broke Ethan's leg," she said. "My brother's men." She hurried to explain. "My brother is not a criminal. He runs legitimate businesses. He owns a few bars himself." I stayed quiet, but I was thinking of the man. They called him the Gray King in the underworld. "He didn't know you were my boyfriend," she added in a low voice, and stuck a card in my hand. "He said he owes you an apology. If you ever need anything, you can reach out to him." I reached up and messed up her hair gently. "As long as you're okay." Ava was standing in the doorway, not bothering to knock. She watched me from across the room for a while. Then she walked over and said quietly, "James, you waited 10 years for me. I can wait for you. When you're tired, come back." Elise held my hand tight, pouted, and snapped back. "Nice try." I squeezed Elise's hand in return and met Ava's gaze. "I won't get tired. I'll stay away from every temptation over and over and love only her." Ava smiled. It was a bitter smile, but she didn't seem to care. Time would show the truth. Ethan went to prison in a wheelchair. I visited him. Once his face was contorted with hatred. He was full of venom. "James, your father never loved you. The woman you love doesn't love you either. You're nothing but a piece of trash nobody wants. When I get out, I'll make you understand. Every day you live should have been mine." I smiled calmly. "Then use the time to build some muscle. Playing weak every day won't help you get anything back." He finally cracked and screamed curses at me like a madman. None of that mattered anymore. What waited for him inside would not be easy. I stepped out of the unit. The sky was unusually bright. Elise stood by the car and waved, hopping up and down like an excited bunny. I headed toward her, walking faster and faster until I was almost sprinting. Just wanted to be near her, even closer, to pull her tight against me in this messy world. Loving someone and being loved both matter, but loving each other is everything. Finding someone, love her, and she loves you back. You see eye to eye. That's so hard. So rare, like a gift in life, a second chance. Don't let obsession hold you back. Walk away from people who drain you. All you lose is a bad situation. What you gain is yourself. Real love doesn't require you to beg or bend. It lets you relax and be who you are. Save your heart for someone who runs to meet you. Until then, take care of yourself. You are your own brightest light.